Hey guys, Sydney Gwynn with the Rag Company, and today we're going to be talking about dilution ratios. Whether you are a professional or just somebody that likes to keep your own car clean, you are going to come across chemicals that require you to mix them with water to work appropriately. So today we are going to dive in to those ratios, how to mix them, the tools you might need, and why it's crucial to dilute them appropriately to achieve success when detailing. First, let's break down what is a dilution ratio. A lot of these chemicals, soaps and things like that come as a concentrate. So the dilution ratio is going to tell you how many parts concentrate to mix with how many parts water. So this is something that if you do have a shop and you have employees, you really want to make sure that things are well labeled, that they understand the dilution, and that they understand what things come ready to use and what things come as a concentrate and what they need to be diluted. What happens if you don't dilute something to the correct dilution, or if you're using something that was meant for exterior and you have it in an exterior dilution and you're using it on interior, you can cause damage to the vehicle. The other thing that's important to know is chemical usage and the efficiency of spending your money. You want to make sure that you know the dilutions so that you're not using too much chemical when it's not needed. And then in another situation where, say, a tire dressing comes as a concentrate and the price of the gallon seems really expensive, but when you dilute it 4-to-1, once you've diluted that product, you actually have 5 gallons of product. You want to use the cost after it's diluted, not before. So the biggest thing here is you want to make sure that you are reading the label first. I know it's a difficult thing to do, but we got to do it when it comes to dilutions. So a fun fact for dilutions and chemicals in the industry is that a lot of times the products that come in these pints, they are generally ready to use. And you will hear us use the term RTU, and that means ready to use. So for example, this product comes RTU, and then you need to read the directions because the directions on this one specifically will say it's ready to use. You do not dilute brake buster. But then when it comes to the concentrate, this one is a concentrate. This one you do dilute if you're refilling your pint bottle. For example, the directions on this bottle tell us that the concentrate will dilute 1-to-1 for super dirty tires, 4-to-1 for maintenance cleaning of your tires. Depending on what size bottle you're going to use, you want to use 4 ounces of water for every 1 ounce of concentrate that you add. So hypothetically, if we are using the standard pint bottle that we started with, you are going to mix 3 ounces of concentrate and 12 ounces of water, and you are going to end up with 15 ounces in your bottle of ready-to-use tire cleaner. So always read the directions, because what you don't want to do is pour this one straight into your bottle, whereas this manufacturer, you do. However, if you want to use it like in an IK foamer or something like that, then the dilution ratio that we suggest for this is 4-to-1. So again, 4 parts water, 1 part brake buster, but that's only when diluting into a foaming pump sprayer. The tire and wheel cleaners are pretty easy. If we move up to something like an APC, this one is going to have a big range of different dilutions that you can do depending on the job. So you might need just general cleaning, light dusting that you want to pre-treat your car with before you wash it. But then you might also have getting mud and grime, grease off of the surface. So when you think about if the job is really dirty, you're going to dilute it less because you need more of that concentrate cleaning power. But for safety's sake for the surface, if it's not that bad, you will want to more heavily dilute it for light cleaning so that you're not overusing a chemical on that surface. For KCX Green Star, this is a APC product that can be used both on interiors and exteriors. So we're gonna read this label together. So depending on the dirt accumulation, clean the exterior of the vehicle and engines with a 1-to-5 up to a 1-to-30 solution. So what that tells us, if we are dealing with something greasy, grimy, super dirty, we're gonna do 1-to-5. And if it's just for light cleaning, kind of maintenance, we're gonna do up to 1-to-30. So again, that means 1 part Green Star, 30 parts water. Now, this is important because you would never want to use this, say that 1-to-1 on an interior, or you could cause some damage. So always read your labels. For dilution of this, we are going to use the hypothetical that I'm going to be cleaning a not super dirty vehicle on the outside. So I want to use that 1-to-30 dilution for the exterior. I know I'm going to be using it for the full exterior of the vehicle, possibly interior. So I am going to use my quart bottle, which is 32 ounces. However, Kosh does everything in milliliters. So whether you're using ounces or milliliters, the number doesn't change. So it's going to be 1 part concentrate to 30 parts water. But you need to figure out if you're using ounces or milliliters. Kosh has made it super easy because they have made us this dosing cap. So we're going to screw this to the top of our bottle. Now, for measurements, this is going to equal either 1 ounce or in milliliters, it's 29.5 roughly. So we are going to gently squeeze 1 ounce of product into our dosing cap. And so now we know that this is 29.5 milliliters, which is the correct. We're gonna make sure we get this just right. All right, and then we've got our water here. So here's an easy way to do the math. So if we're using ounces, we know this is 1 ounce, we need 30 ounces of water, which is going to give us 31 of our 32 ounces. If we're using milliliters, a great way to cheat is to do the 29.5, we know that's 1 ounce or 1 milliliter. And so we times that by 30 to get our water portion, which comes to 885 milliliters. So we have already measured out our 885. We are going to pour that solution in there, make sure to get all, and then this is ready for us to transfer into our quart size bottle. Tools are super helpful. So I've got the Kosh pitcher that has all of the dilutions and milliliters on the side to help you easily figure out what you're doing. And then I'm going to use a small funnel to make sure that I'm not trying to get this in the bottle and spilling it all over the surface next to me. So the quality of water that you use is really important. Anytime that you're diluting chemicals, you want to make sure that you're using like a spot-free water, distilled water, because if you're using tap water, it can break down these chemicals inside the bottle. So always use a good quality of water to make sure that you're not changing the makeup of that chemical that you're putting in there. And you want to make sure that you're using the correct dilution versus eyeballing it. I know we always joke about the glug glug method. We all love the glug glug method, but we're here to help you do it correctly. So now that we've got our green star ready to go, we will get this set aside, and then let's talk about soaps and rinseless wash, because this one's going to have a little bit different dilutions. Something that's really popular is obviously using foam cannons and a snow foam. So again, you always want to read the directions. These ones are going to have a more concentrated because we want to get that snow foam. So this one will tell you how much water that you're going to start with in your foam cannon. So you want to know how many ounces or milliliters your foam cannon is, and then you need to know how much soap you're going to use. Now, this is one area that you can be a little bit creative. If you like your snow foam to be a little bit wetter, you can dilute it more. And if you like it to be that thick, fluffy foam, you can actually add more soap and you're not hurting anything. For this snow foam, this says we are going to use 20 milliliters to 1 liter of water. I know that my foam cannon's only 32 ounces, so I only want to make a half of what they're suggesting here. So I am going to need 500 milliliters of water, which is a half a liter. So we've got our half a liter here. So now we are going to grab our dosing cup again. We're going to put this on our soap. Now, so this suggested 20 milliliters per liter. So now we know we did a half, so we only need 10. On our dosing cap here, it actually will show me where the 10 milliliters is. So we're going to do that. The soap's a little bit thicker. All right, so we're going to do right to there. And then I'm going to pour that in, making sure to get all the product in there. Now this is ready to go for our foam cannon. So then super easy. We're just going to kind of give that a little swirl, add that to our foam cannon, and then that is ready to go. Now, if you feel like you need a full foam cannon for doing your car, you can certainly do that. My point here is just make sure that you make the product that you need, because this is not something that a lot of these products, especially when we get into the soaps, it's not something that you leave sitting around. So you are mixing it for what you're using it for that day. Then let's say we want to get our hand wash bucket ready. So this would be either for your contact wash, or if you're not doing a foam cannon and you just want to do the standard hand washing, the dilution is 10 liters of water, which in gallons, that is roughly about 2.75 gallons of water is 10 liters in your bucket. And you will do 50 milliliters of concentrate, which would be 1 full cap and then another partial 20 of your dosing cap. You pour that in, and then your hand washing bucket's ready to go. All right, so rinseless wash. This one's gonna be a little bit easier, but there's lots of different dilutions that you can do. So most rinseless washes I've found are pretty similar in their dilutions, but we're gonna use Absolute. Generally speaking, for your normal rinseless wash in your bucket and your sponge, most tasks are gonna be at 256 to 1. 1 part concentrate up to 256 parts of water. So this one's super easy when it comes to the bucket. You can use a proportioner or a measuring cup if you want to, but a quick cheat is that the cap on most of these is going to be a ½ ounce. You will want to verify this. On Absolute, it is a ½ ounce. So I have 3 gallons of water in my bucket, which is what I typically wash with. So now I know if it's 1 capful per gallon, which is a ½ ounce, that we are going to do 3 capfuls. So super easy here. And this is also with rinseless wash, you don't have to be exact. So it's okay if you get a little bit over. So we're gonna do that, and then I always rinse my cap off. So now we have our perfect bucket ready with rinseless wash. But if we're doing like a clay lube, that one's gonna be a much stronger dilution. So that is gonna be 64 to 1. So that is gonna be hard to grab out of our bucket. So we have to figure out what is the dilution when I'm doing it in person. So I have a 32-ounce bottle. Stick with me here. There is 4 quarts in a gallon. So now we know we only need 1 capful for a 32-ounce bottle, which is gonna give us that 64 to 1 dilution to use as a clay lube. So super easy, super simple. The thing I do like about these rinseless washes is, like I said, you don't have to be perfect, but we wanna get it pretty close, especially, you know, whether you're doing it as a clay lube or a standard rinseless wash. You wanna make sure you have the right dilution. And then you're just gonna rock it back and forth, make sure you get that all nice and mixed around. Now your clay lube's ready. So this one is one that is super easy when just figuring out the ounces per gallon and then which dilution you need to use it for. So if using rinseless wash on things like in your interior, your steamer, using as a glass cleaner, you'll just want to kind of play around with this and see what your favorite dilution is. I kind of go between the 128 to 1 and 256 to 1. So again, the 128 to 1 is 1 ounce per gallon, so 2 capfuls per gallon. And you know, if you use like the little measuring cups, shot glasses or something like that, it makes it a little bit easier to figure this out on a smaller scale. But that is why I like to use a 32-ounce bottle, because I know that this is basically 1/4 of a gallon. So it makes your dilutions a little bit easier. And like I said before, just make sure you read the labels. This is the #1 mistake by detailers, is they try to use what we lovingly call the glug method, which doesn't usually turn out well. So make sure you read the manufacturer's labels, understand your dilutions, understand what tools you need. That will help you love the chemicals, make sure you're getting the performance out of them that you were hoping for. So I hope this video helped you understand a little bit more about dilution ratios, how to do it to be efficient. And for more videos like this, stay tuned right here at the Rag Company YouTube channel.